Hello students, as today is the first class of 11th class, so we are starting the chapter that is living world. This chapter comes under the topic diversity in the living world. As this is a starting chapter, a first chapter of biology, as you have opted biology, so we must be starting it today itself and taking an introductory part of the biology so that you must be aware of things of what you are going to study in the biology. As we all know that up to 10th the science is a bit different, and now you are in 11th as you have opted biology, so there should be some kind of depth in the subject. So first we will come to understood what is biology. So biology, basically it is a branch of science dealing with the matter and energy which is or was a part of living system. What does this mean? This means whatever things come across in your mind around yourself, whether it is living or not, or whether basically any matter which is showing some kind of life into it, can be considered as the study of biology. So biology basically deals with the two divisions of it, that is botany and zoology. Botany, it deals with all the life forms of we can say plant kingdom. All sort of plant are studied under botany, and all sort of other than plant maximum are, apart from algae and fungi, we can go other animalia, protista, all these are studied under zoology. So basically science have two streams, botany and zoology. So in science, what are your biology, what you are going to study? In biology you are going to study about the life forms, whether things are living or not. So the question arises according to this, then what is living? You have studied from first class till 10th class difference between living and non-living. Still the same question as you starting biology again as a separate subject as for the career perspective. So question arises, what is living? Can you guess what is living? So living has certain criteria in which we can consider things as a living. The first criteria is all living organisms grow. Whatever sort of organisms we are talking about, whether they are microscopic, multicellular, very huge, all used to grow. Up growing in the sense doesn't mean the increasing the size or visible size which you can see by your naked eye and you can say things grow. If we go on this certain concept, even the thickness of the wall increases just because of the settlement of the dust. So it doesn't matter whether size is visible or not. Growing means maturation of the cell. One cell is formed, then it gets matured and it goes to the it jumps to the second level of its growth. That sort of change, if happens in any sort of thing or matter, that will be considered as a living thing, and because it's growing, it is modifying, its cells is modifying, so it will be considered as a growing. The next point will be reproduce. Whatever the life form you may see, from microscopic to the very terrestrial animal on the surface, every organism reproduce. This is a prime duty of every species to reproduce, to form new species like themselves. That is the primary object of any organism. So reproduction is a second important feature of living. If the organism is reproducing, that means it is living. Just because of the life, they are capable of growing the cells and reproducing themselves. If they will not be living, then they cannot do this. So that, like the furniture at your home, can it reproduce? Nope, it cannot reproduce. If you have kept one furniture, after millions of years you came back, it is never going to be two. But whatever the living forms, whether you plant a tree, whether you have animals at your pet animals at your home, they used to reproduce. They form like one like themselves. That's why they are considered as a living. Next is metabolism. All living organisms do metabolism. Basically, what is metabolism? Metabolism is a process comprised of two things. What are those? Catabolism and anabolism. Now, what is catabolism? Cata means to break down complex food material into a simpler form. That is known as catabolism. When we chew food, what basically we are doing? We are breaking a big amount of or larger molecules of food into a simpler or smaller forms. That is catabolism is. So catabolism is breakdown of large molecules into a simpler form or complex food into a simpler form. Now what is then anabolism? Anabolism is a mixture of combining of those simple molecule to form one molecule which can be subsequently used by the body of any organism. That process known as anabolism. So metabolism is comprised of breakdown of food material, and anabolism is comprised of joining of simple food material to form a compound. So metabolism is comprised of two things, catabolism and anabolism. Catabolism, breakdown of complex food material. Anabolism, combining those simple molecules to form a subsequent molecule. This is known as metabolism. So this happens in every living organism. Everybody consumes food. They break down that food to liberate energy. That is a metabolism. Okay. So third step, every living organism must be doing metabolic activity. You might have heard this word when someone visits to a doctor, and if he is not gaining his health or something is not good with his digestive system, so doctor used to say कुछ metabolic गड़बड़ी हो रखी है, metabolic process slow down है, fatty liver है. They are all related to the metabolic activity of the human beings. That's why a person if is consuming too much of food but still not gaining weight. Some people are not eating anything, still they are gaining weight. They are just because they are directly or indirectly related with the metabolic activity of the human being. Now next step is cellular organization. This you might have relating this word with the 9th class biology. There was a division of labor word was there in biology. It is referring to that only. Cellular organization means each and every cell have different sort of organization so that they can perform different sort of work. This is known as cellular organization. Cell combine to form tissue. Tissue combine to form an organ, and they perform a specific function. That function is it is not performed by any other organs. So organ specific. These cellular organization makes things organ specific, where a certain organ performs a given task and it is not interrupted by the other. So this makes the organism complex. So every cell, whether it is single cellular or multicellular, every organism having a cellular organization. They have a specific cellular structure by which they can be identified properly. And the next is consciousness. Consciousness is kind of a sense to make that organism adaptive, sustainable in this environment. This is the prime duty of any species, to make itself adaptive to the changing environment so that they can reproduce and grow well. These are the basic 5 elements which tells that the organism is living. Okay students, so this is all for the introduction of biology and the first chapter, the living world. In the next class we will be studying diversity, how diversified the system is. Okay, so do prepare the notes, and thank you for